Good evening. I would like to call this meeting of Boylston Regional School Committee to order. Just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded. Your image and/or voice may be broadcast. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to roll right into public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to make a public comment? All right.
I can go second.
It doesn't matter. All right, Beth, why don't you go first?
Okay.
Welcome, Beth, and say your name and.
I am Beth Mancini from Berlin.
Thanks.
I just want to make a comment on the voting on the health and wellness policy. I just wanted to say, I think the implementation of the health and wellness policy in terms of the stringent rules for a la carte snacks, while it's well-intentioned, might not result in the desired outcome. Reducing what can be sold and purchased down to a formula relying on calories and percentages will most likely result in smaller packages that the kids will buy more of. And I'm mostly talking about Tohoto. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the whole a la carte at Tohoto, the big thing with that crowd. Many students purchase these snacks not to be consumed at lunch, but for after school before sports and activities. Many appropriate, healthier, protein-rich, non-perishable snacks, which I would love to see available, would not meet the current stringent standards. These high school students are already ordering double lunches to fill up to last through the day in practice, based on the formulas in place for the current school lunch. I'm not sure policing the snack bar is the best way to get the desired outcome. I would rather see more nutritious, shelf-stable snacks available for the kids to save for after school than see the policy put in place that would end up with kids buying 3 smaller packages of something to try and fill up. The snack bar is a cash-free service. Parents have to load the account and put money on it for anyone to buy anything from it. And once the parents log in, they can see everything your child has purchased. So if you're unhappy that they're purchasing something, you can just not put money on their account and opt out that way. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right.
Hi, my name is Peter Doherty. I'm an English teacher and the English department chair at Tohoto. About to start year number 29, 32 overall. So a long time at this.
Great.
I was actually here to talk about policy ILD regarding the surveys, but I see that had been moved from this agenda to a later agenda. From what I understand, it was moved because the policy subcommittee did not have a chance to meet during the summer. Which I'm actually excited about that, because as I wrote in my letter that I read to you back in June, I would love the opportunity to meet with the policy subcommittee. And I've met with Steve Pacheco, the history department chair, and Danielle Rinker, who is a history teacher, who specifically deals with the Civic Action Project, to sit down and just have a conversation with the policy subcommittee about the impact that language will have on our students and their ability to research topics of their choosing without any type of restrictions placed upon them that policy would do. And again, I met with Steve and Danielle, and they're more than willing to sit down and have those conversations so we can have, just hash all that out about the impact it's going to have not only in the Civic Action Project, but also tangentially upon our, specifically our gay and trans population, that this policy seems to be specifically looking at topics that they may wish to explore, because that survey that went out last year about these things wanted to explore the bullying and harassment that those students undergo here at Tohoto. And it's not a new thing. It's been happening for years. I've had a good long conversation with a former student of ours, a good friend of mine, Nick Mandela, class president in 2005. He talked to me openly about his experiences here at Tohoto back then, knew in 7th grade he was gay, was terrified to come out because of the harassment that he had seen another one of his gay friends go through. And he said to me, Peter, I didn't have anybody in that building I felt safe coming out to. That crushed me, because I've known Nick for years. And so this is a very real issue that one of our students wanted to explore and ask the question, if you identify as a member of the LGBTQ plus community here at Tohoto, and if so, have you undergone harassment? If not, have you witnessed it? That was the survey. And it's been turned into something completely different than what that is. And so I think it's important that before we go through with a policy that's going to put a serious restriction on our students' ability to research topics that explore their very real lived experiences here at Tohoto, we need to have a good conversation amongst many people, including staff, that directly work with these students, specifically in these projects in these areas, and also probably the students who themselves will be directly impacted. So that's what I came here tonight to talk about. I would love that to, you guys to consider that. I had another question. When I was here in June, I read my statement, and I was told after I read that there would be no further discussion. There was additional information that was added after I left, which was that you had received information or communication from the district lawyer, and your district lawyer said you had legal grounds to go forward with this. And again, I wish that was told to me when I was here, so I would have asked this question then. My question would be, does the district lawyer specifically know that this policy would be the only policy in our district that would be called opt-in versus opt-out? Like, parents have every right, if they don't want their child to be in a health curriculum discussing things to opt out. I am 100% behind that. I've opted my children out of certain things at Leominster. I'm all for that. But by limiting it to, by making it an opt-in, where we know, as you discussed in that meeting in June back on, it was a Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Discussion. You know that parents will read their emails. You know that parents are gonna see this, so that when you make it opt-in, you've automatically gone to, there are 0% of people who could be reached out to, and maybe if 10% read it. Now, those students can now only reach out to 10% of the population. That is, and it's restricted to those kids, and it would be the only policy in our district that had that restriction placed upon it. I feel, in my opinion, and in the civil rights law firm I spoke to, in their opinion, that is targeted and that is, in a way, as a violation of their civil rights to exclude them from the same opportunities of other students. So my question would be, was that made clear to our lawyer that would be the only policy that would have that restriction placed upon it? You don't have to answer that now. That would be something I would love to talk about.
If you don't mind.
You know, that could be.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind, Peter. Typically, we don't discuss policies that are not on the agenda, you know that.
I do,
But
again,
this is a hot button topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Has zero to do with sexual identity, other than the fact that the survey that a parent was upset about contained those questions. It's about requiring 12-year-olds to tell people their sexual identity, or any other question that a survey might go out.
May I retort?
It's one of
That's up to Megan.
8 categories.
Wait.
May I?
It's one of 8 categories.
All right.
The policy committee did read your letter. We would have met in August. As you know, our superintendent left. She wasn't available to meet with us. That's pushed it off. That's why it's not on the agenda tonight. We will meet with it. I've already discussed with Al, putting a meeting together for it. We will meet with it. We will take that opt-in language into consideration. The language in the regulation, I believe it is prior written consent is the way it's worded in the federal regulation, similar like that. So we'll take a look at it,
Right.
but it's not on the agenda tonight. So
And it sounds like, to me, through the chair,
Yeah.
it sounds like that we're going to have a subcommittee meeting, and it sounds like you're asking if you could go to that meeting, and it looks like it's okay for you to attend that meeting, obviously, because it's a public
It's a
meeting.
public meeting.
So I know this is public comment, so we appreciate what you said, and we'll certainly, I'm sure they'll consider it when they have the
The
subcommittee.
one issue I take, and because I've heard Mike say this multiple times, is required, no student is required to answer anything. There is no
the survey
requirement.
was marked required in questions on the survey.
But it's.
I could pull up the survey if you
That's
like.
fine, but that's been addressed. There's no survey.
Right, it's been addressed.
All right,
That's why we
all
don't
right,
put a policy
all
in
right.
place.
So
All
my
right.
it's public
Yeah.
comment, not public
Okay,
conversation.
so this is a
It's
great,
just another-
and I appreciate the back and forth, and I think let's keep it at the policy subcommittee meeting, and then when we have it on the agenda,
It's not up for vote tonight.
sorry,
Yep.
I should have emailed you and let you know that we moved it, so I'm really sorry
No,
about
it's
that.
okay. I appreciate it.
as Mike said, with Carol leaving, it's been a whirlwind of a couple of weeks.
Megan, may I just say one thing?
Yeah.
This is a lot of, people think policy ILD is about sexuality. It's about, I believe it's 9 covered, protected legally under the Constitution, different areas where parents have to opt in or opt out. So I just wanted to make that clear. There's a whole bunch of other areas on there as well. I know that's the point of contention. I understand that. I just don't want the public to think that we're making one thing on, like we're focusing on one thing.
So when is the policy subcommittee meeting?
They have to, so we
We're
have
gonna talk about that Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they have to schedule that, and then, you know, it would be, obviously you're teaching during the day, so it would be helpful if you guys could connect
I'll
with
take a
Mr.
personal day, it's that important.
And
No,
that's when
I
this
would-
conversation can be
I'm
had.
sure they'll connect with you and try to schedule it around, you know, after school hour, whatever, you know, whatever works for both of them. But I know they're both reasonable about that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
all right,
Thanks.
thank you, all right. Any other public comments? Any communications?
I have one.
Okay, thanks, Laurie.
I did receive paperwork from people who are running for the election for school committee this year. We have 3 seats that are open. So I received the verified paperwork. I let the Secretary of State know, and I received confirmation that our ballot will look like the following. So it's going to say, vote for not more than 2, and that's in Berlin. And the people that are on the ballot this year are Lisa Mayer, who is currently on the school committee, as well as Beth Mancini, who happens to be here right now. So it's vote for 2, there are 2 running. They're in in Boylston, there's going to be 2 people running, but it will be vote for 1. It's going to be Megan Grill, who is our chair, as well as James Waite. And I'm gonna explain this on the websites because we had problems in the past where people didn't understand voting for 2, voting for 1. The way it's gonna work is it'll be a 4-year commitment. And the people that run this year will have 4 years, and then 2 years later, my seat, Mike's seat, as well as Jessica's seat will be up, and it'll be another 4-year term. So we're finally on the track of the 4 years. So it's official.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and that was a huge undertaking, so thank you for all the work you've done on the election. I appreciate it. Any other communications?
I saw the Board of Health requested that Hillside Fields be sprayed because of the Tripoli and the West Nile. And so this is kind of a more urgent issue, and so I apologize for not asking to be put on the agenda, but I didn't know that was a possibility. And so I talked to Matt Meekum today at BES, and he said that he thought the school committee, or I guess the superintendent, could make a request to have the schools sprayed by the, I think it's Central Mass Mosquito Program.
And through the chair, does that go, so I'm just catching up to speed, everybody, so please appreciate that. The buildings are owned by the towns, right? So does that go through the school committee? Is that something that we would do? Or is it something that, because the town owns the properties, that they would do? I'd be more than glad to have that because I'm seeing the sense of needing that to take place now. But I just wasn't sure, but if it goes through us, then absolutely have
I
no
think
problem.
Tohoto, yeah, we own Tohoto, and the towns own the schools, but the schools have rules about the spray and the chemicals they use on the fields.
Okay,
So I think that's something we're gonna have to take offline. I understand how critical it is because youth sports start and
Yep.
there's after school and school
Yep.
starting, so
If we
add it
maybe
onto
can
your
chat,
list. Yeah,
absolutely.
maybe Jess can help this, yeah,
Yep,
if
that'd
you
be
wanna
great.
work with Jess this week. And
Because
It
it's
was
something
really easy
timely,
to make a
right?
request. Yeah, Central Mass, I did it for my house. It was
Yep.
quick.
Can I also be included in the conversation? Because I have some additional information that might be relevant.
Okay, all right, yeah, so yeah,
So
Lisa.
Great.
So yeah, if you guys want to connect this week,
Thank you.
that would be great, thank you. Okay, any other communications? Thanks, Jess. All right, consent agenda, we have open meeting minutes from May 28th, June 6th, June 13th, July 22nd, August 1st, August 6th, August 8th. Wow, we were so busy this summer. Could I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Laurie, Julie, all right, all in favor?
Megan, before we vote,
I'm
can
sorry.
I ask a question?
Yeah,
What happened to the June 17th minutes and recording? that
that's
Jess
right.
took?
So those minutes
Ours?
Sally took, remember those? You were writing them on the back.
Yes,
But
I've
there was
given
also-
it to Nicole, she's working on it.
Yeah, there was a
There was a recording,
recording that
yeah.
Jess sent to Paul, right?
No, so because Brittany couldn't come, it was a voice recording, and I was having trouble over the whole summer getting to her, and finally I found a format that just recently she was able to get a hold of.
Oh, Brittany.
Yeah, Brittany. So it was a fairly lengthy meeting, so I was wondering if those voice recordings could be submitted as the minutes to that, because it was a fairly detailed review of the,
I did take notes and gave them to Nicole, she's just working on it.
So if you can get those minutes or the voice recording to Nicole.
no, she has those recordings.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
that's what I thought is that, no, Mike,
This is
that's
a subcommittee meeting.
Did you
No.
videoed?
you videoed that meeting and you gave it to Paul.
No, I uploaded it
At
to
BMS.
Okay, whoever it went to, is
Yeah,
it
to Brittany.
online
It
somewhere?
should be
It's not.
online.
Is it online somewhere?
I gave it 4 months ago, so.
You did,
I
okay,
can
you did. All right.
ask, yeah.
Okay.
It was
Yeah, I
like 3
think
different
she-
files, because it was so big, 3 different cell
Right.
phones.
All right, so I'll check on that. June 17th minutes, she's still working on because they were not in the format that she could
That's fine, yeah.
We did.
transpose easily.
Just someone's working on it, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, that was the discussion. All right. You guys ready? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'm an aye as well, motion passes. All right, so I'm gonna do my chair's report. I'm gonna cut off Al because I have Cynthia here, who I wanna introduce.
Sure.
We'll do our vote,
Yep.
and that way she's not stuck here.
Oh, come on.
Because I know she wants to listen to everything, but we'll do that first. Then we'll roll into Al's report. Michael has so kindly come tonight to give his report, and then the principals. And then we do have a few presentations. Well, no, we just have one. We have the half-day childcare update, which is great. So Julie and Eric. And is anyone else here for that? No? Principals? Okay, cool. All right. Okay, great. So real brief, I wanted to say 3 things tonight. So first off, as everyone knows, Carol is officially retired and we have Al here. So we're very excited. Welcome, Al.
Thank you.
And we are also so grateful for the huge chunk of Carol's career that she committed to this district. And I wish her well. Second, I know there have been a lot of grumblings on Facebook and from parents about the buses and the lunch menu. And I hear you, and my request is to just be patient. We have a lot of change going on right now, and I think it's gonna be great. We have Al coming on. From what I've learned since I've worked with him, I think he's gonna do some wonderful things for this district. The business office, what we did is we had a consulting company come in, and we were trying to keep our costs reasonable. So we have this lovely man, Michael Wood, who was only supposed to be working part-time, who ended up coming in and giving us so much time, as well as other people from the consulting company. So that's the situation with the buses, where we have leads on full-time candidates that are gonna come in and work in the business office. It just takes some time, and as everyone knows, summer is kind of that period where things stand still. So I just ask respectfully for patience and grace. I know it's frustrating. And if you have questions or concerns, the best way is to email Al or the school committee. And, usually day-to-day operations, that's Al.
So,
School committee's policy, budget, and oversight of Al. So if you're not getting anywhere with Al or your principals, then you come to us. But usually, we've got some great principals, we've got a great superintendent. So I think, if there's specific issues about buses or the lunch menu or whatever it is, route those through the principals and just remember, we're in that tumultuous change period. I think within the next month or 2, things are gonna get a little bit
absolutely.
more consistent. Okay, last thing I want to talk about was today, we had the MSBA, which is the Massachusetts
School
Business Building Association. So we had applied for a grant from the state to help with the cost of the new roof for Boylston Elementary. And we were selected to be interviewed. And the state came today, they walked through the building with Mrs. Sykes, Al, and our facilities crew. We went up on the roof. So we are really, really hopeful that,
Which was a feat of itself. going
that was a
up.
feat for itself,
Not so
yeah.
much going up, but coming down.
Yeah,
It was
the
a
ladder
whole
was
different-
broken, they had like literally a little bungee cord on there.
But we helped each other up and down. for sure.
Yep. So it was great. So I wanted to let everyone know, yeah, it is great. I wanted to let everyone know this was something Carol and I had applied for with the committee's help and permission back in March. We had the help of Boylston Select Board. Matt Meekum was a huge resource for us. And the town is fixing part of the roof right now, but we're really hoping that we're gonna get some funding from the state to redo the roof of this building. So really hopeful, we're gonna find out by the end of October, and we'll keep everyone posted. But really good things kind of in the works right now.
If I could just add to
Yeah.
that. So it's quite the process going through the MSBA and working with them, right? So getting yourself into that networking of that is a huge piece. And, hopefully we'll have success. What we did today, I think we gave them a great tour, really got to see what our school looks like and the investment the town is putting into our school, which is something that the MSBA wants to see. But certainly they can help us out financially, and also they're good to have those relationships start to develop. So in the future, right, if you need new doors, you need new windows, as things get older in our schools, that once you start developing those relationships and they see the things that you're going to put forward as a community, that's very helpful. So we're hoping we're going to get some good news back in October. We certainly laid out the red carpet today from Cindy, did a nice job as our principal, gave them some nice pastries and sat and had a conversation with them for a little while, but then they certainly got to see the building, how great it is, and what we need with that roof right now. I mean, it's certainly a concern, I think, of everybody there as well too. So this is a good relationship that's starting to develop, and hopefully it will flower into something more.
Yeah. All right, so without further ado, so tonight, one of the votes we have is to approve a new district treasurer. So our district treasurer, Joe Michaelback, who has been our district treasurer for 17 years, is retiring. Again, a huge thank you to Joe. I think he came to us in retirement and he was working part-time for us as our district treasurer. So we've been very fortunate tonight to have, Al had a connection with Cynthia. I also had a connection with Cynthia. Full disclosure, we're second cousins. But she came forth and said she'd be interested in the job. So I'd like to introduce Cynthia to us. I believe her resume is in the drive. And tonight what we have to do is we have to vote on, we have to appoint her and determine a salary. So Cynthia, I don't know if you just want to say hi or.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here.
Did anyone have any questions? I'm sure I don't want to get into her resume or details. Everyone had a chance to look at her resume. Did anyone have any questions?
So just,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, he didn't.
So Cynthia, her and I work together at Veterinary Academy, right? So we're quite the team. She was sort of a business manager for Veterinary, and it certainly encompassed my role as the director of admissions as well too, working together the families. But she also oversaw all that financial piece as well too. Did a phenomenal job at Veterinary. So when there was an opportunity arose that our treasurer was leaving, certainly reached out. Cynthia, I think she'll be a great addition to our team and certainly start calming some of the waters that we have concerns about in the business office. But I think we're very fortunate if we can get her as part of our team and be part of the Boylston Regional School District.
Okay, so the proposed salary, so it's an annual salary. The proposed salary would be $14,500. So does anyone have any questions or discussion on this, or am I just going to make a motion?
Because I wanted to start tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. She's actually going to come in tomorrow. So we want to get the contract done so she can sign it tomorrow and get started. Joe retires on September 6th, so we wanted them to have a little bit of time to overlap and get the bank accounts all set up. All right, so then, all right, so could I please have a motion to appoint Cynthia Henderson as our district treasurer? The contract period will be August 28th, 2024 through August 27th, 2025. And then we'll vote again next year. We vote every year on it. For an annual salary of $14,500.
So
Second, Jess and Julie. Any discussion on that?
how many hours a week is that position?
So it's gonna be the way we have it. This is the same as Joe. I just looked, we vote on this every year, but Joe's been here so long, we've just been giving him the same contract. So it's a minimum of 1 day per month in increments of two half days. And she has to be available on call as needed. Like if there was an issue with the bank account, the bank would have to call, they'd have to be able to be in touch with her, or Al would have to be in touch with her. But it's more of as she sees fit. It's a minimum of 8 hours a month, split into two, coming in, twice a month.
And the other part, just through the chair, she'll be extremely helpful onboarding a new director of finance as well too. The skill set that Cynthia has will certainly help with that gap when TMS leaves, but also having a new director of finance and having Cynthia's knowledge will be extremely helpful in that transition time.
Yeah, we need someone on the bank accounts for right when Joe leaves. So this is great. Very fortunate to have someone with experience. All right, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, I'm an aye as well. That motion passes. Congratulations, Cynthia. Thank you.
There's the key.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
you.
What?
Tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yes, I'll be back.
Bye,
Yep.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye, take care.
We're very fortunate to be able to get Cynthia joining our team. Very, very fortunate. Yep.
All right, yeah, we will. All right, so Al, you are up next.
Sure. So good afternoon. I normally will have much more of a prepared statement for you guys, but I'm still catching up on finishing full day two. Let me start out again by saying thank you to the school committee for the opportunity to lead the Boylston Regional School District. I've had a very exciting couple of days as well too. I'm very excited for this opportunity to lead the district and have it continue to grow. I truly am. In the very short period of time, I've had an opportunity to certainly meet our administration, meet our parents, meet our teachers, faculty, directors. I've met some select board members, town administrators, and certainly some students at some of the practices that were taking place outside this afternoon as well too. Don't ask me any of their names, but I certainly got definitely some connections with them. We had a wonderful opening day hosted by Lisa at Tahanto, so thank you for all of our faculty and staff. I attended a great ice cream social last night at Berlin as well too, Memorial. And today, as Megan said, stood on the roof of Boylston Elementary School with the MSBA. So the last 2 days have certainly been a lot going on. I've also had the opportunity to hire some strong additions to our staff to fill the positions that were needed, Cynthia Henderson being one of them. I'll talk to you a little bit later on the agenda, Director of Finance position, and we have people lined up that are applying for that role as well too. Met with custodians and our Director of Facilities, and the buildings and grounds are ready for opening. They've done an incredible job. Actually, we had a little breakfast earlier this week just to make sure everyone's on board and thank the custodians for the work that they've done also along in getting these buildings ready. And lastly, as Megan said, bus routes are in place, so they're there, right? So as Megan said, just a little patience and grace right now. We're trying to work it out so that we'll make those changes. I met with the school resource officer in Berlin yesterday. So he's looking at some of the concerns they have regarding safety on some of those stops as well too. So we're working that out. But the important thing was getting those bus routes online, which we did yesterday. I thank people for helping us get that ready as well too. I can officially report to you that Boylston Regional School District is ready for opening tomorrow morning. Our schools are ready, bus routes are somewhat ready, but we're ready to go for tomorrow. So we're excited for that very first day. And I will be spending my day tomorrow along with my administrative team. We sort of came up with a plan, so we're not all in the same building at the same time. We're sort of working in a clockwise direction to make sure we're there to support our principals, not to get in the way of them, but certainly to support them as well. And lastly, again, I couldn't be more thrilled to have this opportunity to be your superintendent. It's something I've always said, and I just will continue to always say this as superintendent, that our meetings that we have here, we should be always having our meetings like this, children in the room, right? Because that really is the work we're doing, right? We're doing this work for children. And the other part of that is we should be running these meetings for the people that are watching our town that don't have children in our district, but still pay the taxes for our schools, that they see what's the work that's being done here, because this is such important work. Everything that we do here is what's going to take place to get our kids in school tomorrow as well too. So I thank you for the work you're doing. I know that everyone's volunteering here, so I appreciate all that you do to help get our students and schools ready for tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Next, we have Michael. Mr. Michael Wood has a little finance update for us.
Sure. So in your packet and for the public, there is a document, our expense report for the month of August, or to date of the month of August. So, we started a new fiscal year as of July 1. As in always in a fiscal year, there may be changes as the budget year flows. We'll adjust some accounts as the or the next team will do some adjustments of the accounts as needed for new hiring and so forth to make sure the money is in the right accounts and so forth for the hiring of staff and so forth. But there is the reporting. We're in good shape for 2 months in the year, so it's always a good way to start the year. I think you're going to be in great shape for the entire fiscal year. Just a couple of things. You've mentioned buses. They are up there. The message that I'm telling parents that I've shared with principals and secretaries to tell parents is, the first 2 weeks are important. NRT is about safety first, obviously, but when they go through the Versatrans, it's about the efficiency as well. And they can only look at the routes as best they can with what they know about the geography of the area and so forth. And I believe you've only had them maybe 3 years, or maybe this is the second cycle. But concerns can certainly be emailed to principals or to my office or to the superintendent. We will forward those on to NRT and work directly with them. Where necessary, do site visits and so forth to make sure that we have agreement and understanding of the placement of those stops. As we've said, there may be some situations where we have a couple of missing students on those bus runs. If that's the case, certainly, look at the bus routes, know where the buses, the stops are, and go to the closest one to your house. And you can catch the bus there, and we'll iron out very quickly where they are. We did learn today how to use the bus app. So if you want to use that, we have somebody has great records, and I think it was your secretary, Michelle. So we're a team. So pulling that together, it was really, really helpful. For much of the summer, it's been me and 1 day a week with a staff member from my office, TMS, but we finally got a personnel HR specialist in late July and an accounts payable person in early August. So training has been an effective part of the last few weeks, and that will, obviously be ongoing as the new person comes on board and so forth as well. What's really great is, at least on the AP side of things, the person 2 people ago did a great job leaving a how-to manual. So that's been very, very helpful to all of us.
There's a how-to manual for AP.
Yeah.
Sharon?
From Cheryl.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did a great job.
That tracks.
And so that's been very helpful to me as well as to staff we brought on board. Just also in terms of food services, just more information for the school committee, that an item of business fairly soon on will be the adult lunch price. It hasn't been addressed in a number of years, and in talking to the director, it's something that he would like to see looked at and addressed, and that would be a vote of the school.
I feel like we voted on that before. Did we not? It was before your time. I'll have to look into that.
We voted on prices overall.
For adult prices, we had adult lunch price. We had prices for adult lunch.
Oh, we'll
I
see what
think
they
we did
say.
too, because I think for field day there were adult prices. We absolutely have adult.
We do have a price, he would like to raise it.
Oh.
Yeah, we have a price.
Okay. All right, so that would need to be
Yeah, let's
voted.
talk about
Yeah,
that.
that'll have to be, we'll put that on an agenda. Yeah, we gotta look at some data for that.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Can I just ask a follow-up question, Michael? So I know you've been here a short period of time. So is this our last year with this bus company? or
Yeah.
what's our contract with?
A new contract will have to go out to bid, really whenever you want to, but certainly
Yeah.
no later than January.
Yeah. And I'm sort of publicly saying this, so I guess I am, this is their Super Bowl, getting us the bus list, right? And I know it has nothing to do with you in this office, but getting to us so late, right, doesn't give us that lead time at all to try to fix things, and so we're sort of caught.
Yeah.
So it's certainly a little concerning to me, so certainly something we need to look at when we're bidding the next one out, and if it's them, and having maybe almost, I don't know why I'm talking to you, Mike, sorry
Yeah,
about that, I
it's
know you
okay.
had nothing to do with it, but even giving like a timeline that we need the bus routes by, right? So this way it gives us a little time to try to work out the kinks that we need to work out. Giving them to us, in such a short notice has made it difficult for our principals and certainly our parents as well too.
Yeah.
So just something to
I
think
said to
about.
somebody that we need to start this process in June.
Yeah,
Even internally in terms of getting clean
Yeah.
classes.
yeah. This is their Super Bowl, right? They should be getting it all done and ready. This is like the big thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I will give them credit based on what I was told I would get. The list was pretty clean.
Yeah.
And we had to do very little in terms of, set up and reformatting. I was told that there was cut and paste activity and so forth
Sure.
on previous ones. This one was pretty clean, so.
And can I follow up question? So something like that, putting off a bit, I'm just asking for clarification. So I'm sort of in contact with the executive director now, who's after my email to them. So is that something that goes in front of school committee? Is that where you guys there with? Okay, great. So maybe we could start putting that on a further agenda, Nicole, down the line, but just certainly start that conversation.
Yeah, for the buses.
Yep.
I think the cleanup was like, for example, I can use one for Boylston Elementary. My kids, we don't have a bus in our neighborhood, but like, it says it takes 17 minutes to go like a 0.1 mile from the school to the corner of Sewell Street and Compass Circle. So like, I think that was the kind of cleanup. Nancy actually sat on her phone and like,
Oh.
Matt questioned like, oh, no, wait, that's not 17 minutes, that's 1 minute. So the times were more accurate.
Okay.
So I mean, I can just speak from that one. I haven't actually reviewed all the other ones. Like, I think there was a few people that said stops were missing.
Yeah.
So if anyone is out there listening and they have gripes with the buses, Al is the guy, as Michael says. Sorry, Al. I know your last day is this week. We have some, we have some options out there for the finance director thing, but nothing solid yet, so it has to go through Al, and then Al will have to sit down and figure that out with the bus company. But I do remember Nancy actually, so everyone needs to be patient. Maybe things may change slightly for the better. But yeah, no one's fault. Again, just how are you supposed to know that, right? How is anyone supposed to know that? And yeah, shame on them for getting it literally the day before. Okay.
You said MapQuest.
So what? That's what I use.
Stop it.
So I have
It's
two questions.
1996.
That's right.
So my two questions are, if anyone can answer them. Families, I get it, just go to the closest route that people work. So is there like some kind of timeline that we can let parents know by, say, hey, Tuesday, we are gonna have something for you, so you don't have to drive your child 2 blocks down and then wait
Yeah.
because it's not outside your home.
So no, I'm meeting with Dan Gee, who's on the agenda as well too, on Thursday. So we just give us some time. I hate to say
Sure.
Tuesday because if
Right.
it's not Tuesday, then you'll be
Right.
saying, where's Tuesday? So just give us, that's his number one priority right now, is getting all these bus routes done and cleaned up and stuff.
Okay, all right, great. And it's my last question. If he can, you can ask him this too. In Berlin, as we've talked about, the kids that get picked up
I have a
first.
parent already working on that.
So you're already in
I'm already-
communication
yep,
with that. So there
absolutely.
could be a flop.
There could be a flop.
Okay,
We're
Work.
So instead of me going to the bus company and saying, fix this,
Sure.
I'm coming with a solution. So I'm working with a parent.
Mr. Holmes.
Thank you.
Bob Holmes.
Bob Holmes, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
working with him and he's helping recreate that route. So this way, when I go to the bus company, I can say, here's the solution instead of just coming across. So we're
Awesome.
working on that.
Is he doing every route or just that specific route?
All of
He's
us.
doing all of them.
He's doing them all for me.
He's
Yep.
very project-based.
Yep.
Very good.
So again, I can't
Wow.
guarantee you that's gonna happen, but at
That's
least
great.
I'm
Thank
coming to the bus company saying, here's an option for you, as opposed to not saying fix it for me. Okay, so we're trying with
I mean,
that.
2 years ago it was like that, or it was reversed, and last year it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I'm curious.
I think there was I don't want to go off our topic, but I think there was a particular families and stuff that, from what I'm learning, they had to make the route go a certain way, but we're definitely addressing it. We're gonna try to address it, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I also, we'll talk about it. No, it's okay.
That's great.
Yeah,
Great update.
it's,
Thank
yeah, it's just, all it is just change. A lot of this is like, new people are coming on and they don't know that you have to do this and no one's telling them. And so we're kind of learning as we go, having manuals. That's one of the things we talked about last year. Mike was one of the people that was trying to drive that, everyone, maybe this will be the year we start actually working on procedure manuals for everyone's job. So let's say if Janelle left, no one would know what to do. You know what I mean? We need to start documenting some of the processes so that when we have new people coming on.
Cross-training.
Yes, cross-training
Definitely.
or just documenting, like, this is what I do in my job, this is what I do. Because we're not always gonna have overlap. So that's a huge thing. For small districts, that's a huge thing. All right, any other questions for Michael? Sorry.
Yeah, do the bus drivers have any input? I mean, I feel like they know their routes.
It's a great question.
It's worth, they're good resources.
They do. I mean, she read the person, our contact, our lead dispatcher, referenced that they've gone over the routes and some of her questions to me were because the drivers raised them. So I don't know where in the process, if it's the beginning or the end, but they do talk to the drivers.
Great.
All right, thank you. Cindy, would you like to go next?
I would. First of all, thank you for allowing me this time to share some of the great things happening at PES this year. The first thing I have to do is thank the custodial staff and Dan Ayala for really getting this, the school open and sparkling. I love going into the beginning of the year. The floors are nice and shiny. They don't stay that way for long, but they really invite the kids in and the families when they come on the first day. So a few things happening. School committee, you're going to be very happy to hear this because I know we were talking about it last year. I have it in there as our newly reorganized PTO. They are no longer PTO or BEF or BEPTO, which I introduced you last year. They're now going to be BEC, which is the Boylston Education Collaborative. Ooh, fancy. I met them. They have some great ideas. One of the things they're taking off on, ready? Enrichment, as Lake has. So they are going to take that on, which is just, I know, something that we need at Boylston. A couple other things that we're doing this year. We are going for gold at BES, which means that's the theme this year. We are raising our standards. They're high, the teachers have them high, but it's giving students what they need. High expectations, and we're doing it in a fun way, so you're gonna see gold everywhere. I am actually wearing gold tomorrow. I know, search high and low for this outfit, but I got it. One other thing that I'm very proud of is kind of my baby, and the team is just jumping on board with this. We are building a sensory room at our school. I have a vision. People are joining that vision. It is not there yet. We were hoping to have it painted. They ran out of time, the room, but we have some great resources for students and staff and principal to use at certain points that the PTO from last year donated. They spent $2,500 for this room, and they have ideas to add to it. They've got a little tour. It's not done. I'm hoping to have that complete before open house, which is on September 12th. I might be in there some Saturdays and Sundays. We'll have some sensory Saturdays and Sundays and invite people to help. But I'm really looking forward to this and inviting you in to see it because it's a great room and it's one that I really believe in.
Don't be surprised if you see me in that room every now and then. Just personal space, that's all.
It's very calming.
Sorry.
Great.
Digress.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thanks, Cindy.
Let's see who's next. John?
Oh, sure.
John.
Not nearly as dramatic as my colleague in Crunch there.
The gold?
I'm not going to be wearing gold tomorrow. I'm going to be wearing my Buffalo Bills red and blue.
I was gonna say he's gonna wear his
Because that's how we fly at Berlin. Actually, a lot of the things that, I won't belabor the things that everybody's going to say. Yes, my school also looks beautiful. Dan and the guys did a great job. We're ready for the first day of school with the occasional hiccup on crazy bus routes and a couple of last second supplies. But teachers are excited and ready to go. We met today, we talked about, I'm stealing an idea from Tohoto. We talked about a school-wide goal this year.
That's great.
And staff were really into that. So
good, yeah.
that's, we're talking more in terms of promoting student independence in the way they think and act. So we'll see where that goes. And then the last thing, I just want to thank Link because they are amazing. We had a couple of summer picnics this year. We had a special thanks to Peg Stone, who's on the Berlin Select Board. I believe she's the chairperson of the Select Board, who did some great reading. And a shout out to my son, who sometimes watches these. And I did our version of the Three Little Pigs. So that was a lot of fun. So I got
Thanks.
Great, thank you, John. Lisa.
So Tohoto, thank you everyone for providing this opportunity. So on Monday, we welcomed the staff back, and again, I think just echoing what everyone else has said, custodians did a wonderful job. Food service, we host the opening day at Tohoto, and the food service and Rob did a wonderful job. They did a really, really wonderful job. So that makes for a wonderful, welcoming day, and truly our unsung heroes. That day also, we had our sixth grade orientation on Monday, which was led by our high school students council and their advisors, Danielle Rinker and Emily McCarthy, and they do such a wonderful job with our sixth graders. They lead them through all kinds of activities, get them comfortable with the building and the schedule and opening lockers, and I think that is such an important moment to relieve some of that anxiety as students transition into middle school. We have had a host of other students come through all summer long through just to visit as people have moved in. Quite a few of the people have moved in. So we welcome all the visitors. We love that. I felt, and I was saying this, I felt kind of like July, I was a little, and then, kids started coming, and then the student council, and then people, and I was like, oh, this is better, So it does feel more alive, and that is wonderful. Our athletics started a week before school. The fall season kicked off on Monday, the 19th, and we currently are running boys soccer, middle school JV and varsity, girls soccer, middle school JV and varsity, field hockey, JV and varsity, golf, middle school and varsity, and cross country. So we really look forward. I love fall sports. It's always very fun. I think the bulk of the report, though, that you'll notice is the school committee was asking about enrollment and where the enrollment stood, and also when people were leaving, why were they leaving? And so as an admin team, and I thank Renee very much for doing the work for reaching out to many of the students. So there is a first graphic that identifies the enrollment. Now, we've had students coming in and enrolling up and through yesterday. So the numbers you have that were downloaded in a PDF might not be the current actual numbers. So in sixth grade, we have currently enrolled now at 77. Seventh grade, we have 91 students. Eighth grade, we have 83. 9, we have 77. 10, we have 71, so we went down to 11, we have 74, and 12, we have 67. So we have a total enrollment of 540 students at Tohoto. And there's a summary of an exit survey that we took, the number of students who exited each of the grades and kind of where they were going, and then a further breakdown. So there was 2 graphics, a breakdown of generally where students were going, and then a little bit more like an appendix about additional information collected through the surveys. And there's a bar graph that shows that the bulk of our transition was in the 9th grade. And the new enrollment information, so the new students enrolling, but that was as of 8/20. So that's that has changed. So if there's any questions on that, I know you had time to digest that, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to, Renee and I are happy to speak to anything on those reports.
Yeah, for the QCC for 11 and 12, is that dual enrollment or is
Yes.
that? Okay.
I mean, there's three different programs. There's dual enrollment, there's Gateway, and there's ACE. So often, most of the students go through dual enrollment, and it really offers an incredible opportunity for our students to get a head start. Also, to get those general requirements taken care of at a low cost. And I think that is driving many of the decisions, that it becomes very cost effective.
Those kids still take some classes at Tohoto or everything's at QCC?
Everything's at QCC, but they can, well, today we had a student, he'll be taking music courses here. So he'll be coming here for music class. So it depends on the student.
Okay.
But they're still counted in our numbers.
Excuse me?
Sorry, through chair. They're still counted in our numbers, those students.
Yes.
Even though they're dual enrollment.
Yes, that's correct, because they will graduate with us, they will graduate with the class,
Yeah.
and they still can participate in athletics and all our programming.
And that's important for the financial piece of that as well too, right?
Yes.
Those numbers. Good,
Yeah.
excellent.
So for me, I wanted to say thank you because this is such good information.
Yeah.
I think it's really detailed, it's really thorough. I think it's good to, keep going with it so that you can start to see trends if there are any year over year, right? I do think it's also interesting, right? It's always so hard when you're looking at numbers because it depends on what graph you have or what sheet you have and who came in and who didn't. But the projected numbers that we had last school committee meeting to what we have ended up with are a lot lower. But if people move, they move. You don't have any control over it, which in a lot of these Ys, there's a lot of movement with families.
Yes.
Which I think is interesting rather than, I didn't have what I needed at that school, wasn't giving me enough, that's. So I think this is great information, so thanks for doing it, Claire.
Thanks.
I think the next, sorry, go
If I
ahead.
may, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I agree with Julie's good information here. Some of the stuff, Lisa, you could probably start doing today to try to, we talk about fixing things and
Yes.
convincing people to stay. I see some here are leaving because there wasn't enough parent-teacher communication.
Yes.
Math and science, I know we just had a full-time math hire, right?
Yes,
So I assume you have plans in place right now to start fixing this today?
yes.
What are they?
So with the parent communication, so we've discussed that at the team meetings for that specific, addressing those concerns. So, we've had meetings with the staff that we are concerned with, so that is the step. And I think we have templates, we've provided templates for staff as well. We're also looking at the open house and understanding that the conference and open house formats aren't necessarily productive for the middle school, so we're looking at having different formats. So I think something that's held us back, it has been a vision that all of the schools have to do the same thing all the time, when that doesn't always meet the needs of the families at each developmental level. We see that very clearly at the middle high school, where at the middle school, we're mobbed with students and families during open house and during conferences. And essentially, when you're in 11th and 12th grade, the families have already met most of the teachers. So it's a very different look. So looking at those models and making sure that those times are well spent and it's more based in engagement and communication.
So with the full-time math teacher, you announced Monday the full-time athletic director position. I know you mentioned the sports that are going on now, but I was gonna wait for a couple months maybe to ask you this question, but what's gonna change in the athletic program now that there's a full-time athletic director that we can look forward to?
So when there's a couple that actually just had this conversation with Matt today about some of the goals that I would like to, because just as educators have goals, administrators have goals as well. And so one of the areas, so coach evaluations are important to me, and we need to put a system in place for evaluating coaches. I want the athletic handbook revised. That hasn't been revised in a very long time, and that needs to be revised. And I also want to look at team building and engagement through the teams. And we had Kyle Cares, which is a program that really highlights leadership roles within teams so that our student athletes become community leaders. So I'm really kind of looking at those three things right now.
Cool. It's great.
Thank you.
There's so much out there that we could talk about that, right?
Yeah.
For some of our athletes, right? You talk about, sorry, through the chair.
Yeah.
Talk about service learning, right? Not community service, but service learning, right? And that they decide what they want to do as a team or a group of athletes, how they want to give back to the community. So that's certainly something our athletic director, that'd be great. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, it's great. Janelle?
Sure. So my brief report reflected some of the highlights from the people personnel office over the summer, which included welcoming some new staff and really celebrating the addition of a second occupational therapist to the district, which we're very grateful that the budgets allowed us to do that and the community support to do that. That was so much needed, so thank you. Also, our extended school year, I note that for the first time, we actually held our extended school year program here at Tohoto. In all recent history, it is alternated between the elementary schools, and just based on planned work in the elementary schools, we held it here at Tohoto. We have debriefed on the feedback from that, what worked well and what didn't, and we'll be talking about that again in the winter to decide where those services will be held in the summer of 2025. Submitted our grants. As expected, those have been submitted. The IDEA grants, which are referred to as the 240 and the 262 grants, came out to a total of $320,935. Those are submitted. And then our big focus for the year ahead is certainly the new IEP form, which I've talked about here before. I keep bringing it up because it is such a big deal for all of the families with children in the special education program, as well as the staff that provide services to special education students. And then in October, the admin team will be reporting out on the preschool program review that we received very late in the spring. We're in the process of analyzing that now and developing our recommendations and sharing them with you in October.
It's great, so we'll touch base and then we can get that on the agenda, because I know a lot of people, there was a lot of questions around adding a full-day preschool and
Yes, sure.
been anticipating to see how the results of
And
this.
certainly connects to the budget, right? So we want to make sure that we get it in there before that budget cycle. So if it doesn't work for October, of course, you'll let us know where it fits.
Yeah.
But we do want to be mindful of the budget cycle as well.
Yeah, that's great, thank you.
Thanks.
Did anyone have any questions for Janelle?
Oh, thank you.
All right, awesome, thanks. Sally?
Sure, so to piggyback off of what Janelle was talking about with grants, I recently submitted my application for the ESSA grants, which stands for Every Student Succeeds Acts. This involves Title I, which funds our Title I programming. We also have a Title II-A grant, which we use for professional development for our staff. And we also have a Title IV grant, which we use funds for, we've been using it for our Portrait of a Graduate initiative, and we like to extend that to strategic planning this year. I do have allocations, but since it hasn't been approved yet, I just didn't publish it yet, but I'm certainly happy to do that in the next report. We also had our new staff orientation last Friday, and that took place at Tohoto Regional from 8 to 2 for new teachers and paraprofessionals. And during that time, the administrative team met with everyone, and we talked about different protocols, and we took them on tours of all 3 schools. We had a nice lunch, and the teachers were able to meet up with their mentors that they've been assigned and spend some time together in the afternoon. Gail Kelleher is the mentor coordinator that works with me for that, and she did a really great job helping to organize that. Our administrative team, some of us took part in a leadership institute that took place held by DESE. It was a free institute that provided a wealth of information that was really helpful. Lots of different tools to help with the curriculum process, and I plan to share those with department chairs throughout the year. And finally, the wellness policy, which I know we're going to talk about later. Once it is approved, our committee has plans to take a presentation that we're preparing, kind of on the road to different groups like the boosters and the PTO and faculty meetings, also with school councils. It's meant to be a kind of a proactive presentation to help provide alternatives to how things have been done in the past that would still be helpful and successful, but that don't go against the current policy, which, you know, we wrote according to federal and state regulations. So, also just about the importance of why that, you know, that policy needs to exist. And so we can talk about that more when we go to the vote later if you have any questions on that. Also, there was an inquiry in the spring about where we were with our district improvement plan. So at our administrative retreat in July, we sat together as a team and we went through it part by part and color coded it for you all, and it was submitted. So you can see the color coding reflects whether something was completed, whether it was something that we changed direction on, whether it was in progress, whether it did not happen, or whether it's some things that are not color coded are happening this year. And this is the last year that we're going into with that district improvement plan. So, you know, Al's brand new, but we'll be sharing that with him and having discussions about that very soon.
Thank
That was a beautiful document, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, really helpful, and I think we should share it with the towns as well, because I think there was assumptions that we were just not planning. So it'd be great to show them the progress on the plan. Yeah.
You can put it on our district website as well, so we can talk about
I
that.
mean, or just even.
I believe it is on the district website.
Has it? Okay.
Yeah, this is the third year of a 3-year plan. It's so hard. Maybe, you know, at some point closer to budget, probably blast that out in an email for people that are interested with some information. Maybe sometime this winter, right before the budget, probably. I think that's where it's most applicable, right? So people understand when we're like, oh, we need a teacher. It's not just like, yeah, we feel like adding a teacher. This is part of the plan. This is part of the growth. We're on track. This is what we need. Okay, great. Paul. So I know there were some questions about the wellness policy, but let's let Paul do his report. I think we have Eric and Julie are going to present on the half days, and then we will we'll do the other votes, and then we'll do some wellness questions. All right, go ahead, Paul.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Apologize first of all for being a little late. I had COVID and then actually took a couple of days off, so sorry for it being a touch late. We had the report. First, again, just updates on end of year from last year. Just to, you know, up that we, you know, met all deadlines for all state reporting, SIMS, EPIMS, SSCS, SSDR. Summer projects included getting 250 Chromebooks ready, as well as 160 iPads. If you get a chance at some point at Tohoto to stop in and see the new music tech lab, Mr. Glenn would be glad to like show it off. I'm sure. We were also able to do installs in 16 rooms across the 3 schools with projectors, and the camera update at Tohoto is again 95% complete. They're waiting on a couple parts to get 2 last cameras on board. One other item that came in today, the walkie-talkies are in progress, but they were able to deliver kind of like our basic need. We needed to add some more at each of the schools. That happened today. And again, I'm not a big radio person, but for folks that may or may not know, like getting radios nowadays is a 8 to 12 week ordeal. and so we were lucky enough to get stuff forward so that would have in place for our first day of school. And I gotta thank Peter Goby from Beltronics. I think he maybe borrowed some from a few places that he maybe shouldn't have borrowed them from, so that we made sure we got them, but we appreciate that because it made life easier for the principals to get school started tomorrow.
Paul, can I just ask a question? So are the radios all connected through buildings or just individuals of buildings alone?
Currently, just building to building. We're working on, there is infrastructure to be able to go beyond, so that'll be kind of like phase 2.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, excellent, thanks.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have questions for Paul? All right, Julie, are you and Eric ready to, so we have a presentation from the Parks and Rec crew. Eric is from Boylston, and Julie is on the Parks and Rec crew in Berlin. And so this presentation is gonna kind of outline what they have been working on this summer for childcare on the half days. I think we have, what, 7 half days this school year.
Professional development.
It's the professional development half days, correct. So if it's a holiday half day, like the half day before Christmas, you guys aren't in half day that they have conferences, because the building won't be available. All right, so I don't know how you guys, Eric, do you want to?
Eric has a dance. Do you want to do your intro dance?
Oh my God, that would be fantastic.
I know, where should we go?
Come on, come join us.
Yeah, why? Yeah.
I'll get you another chair. Come on.
Yeah, Eric, we'll
Chair
take
over.
a chair.
Under the table.
We're not gonna make you. Unless you wanted to dance.
I would love to dance.
No, up here.
I gotta go right to the front.
You're gonna take the gavel, actually. Having this here.
We wanna make sure we get you a camera.
New possession, actually, yes.
All right, yep.
Feels so important.
All right, yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna obviously speak on behalf of the rec committee, and Eric is gonna speak for Boylston Rec, so thank you. And this is not a school committee speaking, school committee member speaking right now. Okay,
We'll reserve questions to the end,
Thank
if
you.
that's what you're asking.
yeah, hopefully I can stick to that.
We will.
Thank you. Okay, so I wanted to just clarify, and Al, I know this is probably new to you, so this is probably a good little brief introduction to this.
Sure.
So the school committee voted to change the calendar, last year's calendar to this 24-25 calendar. And what that meant was, Carol had brought to us, and I'm sure after meeting with the administrative team too, that they wanted to do more half days, so the teams could collaborate, the teachers could collaborate, and have more time to work together, more consistent,
Sure.
rather than what we had in the past. Further to that is Carol also provided us with research and data that showed that districts that are doing this half days once a month, so their staff can meet and become stronger together. So ultimately our kids are achieving higher, are higher performing districts. And there was lots of data that supported that she had brought to us. And then schools that aren't doing this aren't necessarily as high achieving. So there was conversation, what do we do now with, this is quite an ask of parents, right, to do half days. So we had said, I actually probably said it before reaching out to Boylston, the recreation departments can partner with the schools separate. This is not, I do want to emphasize this. This is not a school-sponsored thing. This is completely run by the rec departments out of BES and and Berlin Memorial School. Because those are town-owned facilities, we do have shared use agreements with the towns. When school's not in session, we actually have a signed lease agreement in Berlin, Boylston's getting to that point, that the towns will use these buildings because they're town buildings.
Yep.
We had met throughout the summer, Eric and myself and Cindy and John and some other, and Pam also works for Boylston Rec, on how do we do this? School ends at 11:45, teachers have to go and train, and now we have all these children that need places to be, maybe. We would still do regular dismissal through the schools, and then the rec programs would come in with our staff and run some really cool enrichment programs. For a period of 11:45 until 3:05, which is the end of day dismissal time, in which point kids can either be dismissed to their parents like they would in a normal school day, or they're gonna pick up the after-school program that the elementary schools run on a regular day.
Run by our teachers?
The after-school programs are run by, I don't know if you folks want to.
Teachers and parents.
Okay.
Teachers,
Yes,
So our
employees,
staff.
yeah.
Our
Our staff.
school staff, right?
Yeah, school-sponsored activity.
Okay.
School
Staff,
staff.
that's a school sponsored, yeah.
So they'd be doing the professional learning at that 11:45 time block, right? Gotcha.
So all the school staff are doing their school
Yep.
training, and the rec programs are coming in and managing whatever
Understood.
kids need to
Yep.
sign up. Okay, just to catch you. So I did compare the calendar from last year to this year because when this was proposed, it was not received well, naturally, from parents, right? A percentage of parents.
The calendar.
Because the calendar,
Yeah,
correct.
not this.
Not the program, the
Sure.
calendar. Because, now we need childcare for this time. And the rec programs really didn't have a program in place yet, detailed program. So I compared the calendars from last year to this year. I just want people to understand what the difference really is, okay? So last year, we had 4 full PD days. This year, there'll be 3, right?
Full
So full. So we're losing 1 full PD day, which is being split to the 2 half days.
Yeah.
Right? So parents would have to do childcare for those 4 full PD days. Right? So you understand that point to start?
I do.
Last year, we had 3 half days for PD days. This year, while it looks like we have 7, we are losing 1 full day, which is actually the 2 halves.
Yep.
So really,
That's
we're only, right.
Which is 1 full day.
Correct.
You've added 1 day of PD.
Correct. We're not adding, it looks on paper like, oh my gosh, if you look at all those yellows, that's a lot going on there. And it is alarming at first sight. If you take a deep breath, we compare the calendars, we see that a full day was shifted into 2 half days and we added 2 more to benefit the staff, right? So that they can better prepare our kids. It makes sense. Okay, but that's where we come in now. So what we did, you guys all have in your drive,
I saw.
is we made this proposal plan.
All right.
I don't know if, you guys can all see it. You probably don't. So basically what it outlines is the time we would start, the dates that it's offered. So we'll clean this up. We are going to, once this gets support from the committee, we are going to put this on our website. We're gonna post it to social media. We can put it in the, principal newsletters. We can get this in, we'll use Tahanto too, because we're going to need staff to work this. We're gonna get this information out to as many people certainly as possible, yes? Okay, so what this will look like is on those half days, school runs, and then at dismissal time, the elementary schools will do their regular dismissal, almost like we're running just like an after-school program. However, we'll work with the elementary schools, however they want to dismiss those children to the rec programs, that will be up to them because that's a bigger moving part that they should manage in their building. I would say we'll probably go last because you'll probably get up to dismissals through. And then what we did was we created this little description of kind of what the day looks like. So it's a 3-hour and 15-minute block. And what we would do was for the first hour and, I think I didn't, what are we doing, 10 minutes? We'll do lunch with the kids and then we'll do recess. Because remember, these kids haven't done recess because they've been in school all day. So we'll feed them their lunch, we'll do the recess, and then we'll start their programming. The programming will be all sorts of things, which is what we do recreationally anyways. We'll do STEM programming, we'll do movement programming, I think we have sensory, we have puzzles, games, art, books, all kind of theme-based for the month. So like for October, it would be like pumpkins and ghosts, because they are elementary, right? Things of that nature. We would move the kids because we don't know how many children we're gonna have in this program. We did kind of have the conversation with Cindy. This was when John wanted to make this meeting, but how many kids are in the current after-school program at BES is sort of like an idea. And there are roughly 75 children. So if we mark that up by even up to 150 or 100, say in that range, we do have to have staff to student ratio. We're gonna follow the ACA standards, which are the American Camp Association standards, which it varies by age. So it's like 1 to 5 if they're 5 and 6-year-olds, or it's 1 to 10 if they're older than that. So we'll have all that. Once we get the kids' ages, we'll be able to manage all the staffing. What else? Oh, we discussed how we manage the cost, right? Because this is not school, this is essentially, we have to pay these counselors that work because they are working, so they should be paid. Although it's nice to have volunteers do things, it's also nice for high school kids to make some money for the work that they're doing. So we spoke about definitely paying every counselor that works, whether they're high school kids or if it's a mom or a dad or a grandmother. As long as they're 4A check, they will make minimum wage and they will be employees of the town. So that onboarding process will be done on our end, not the schools. So they'll get hired through the town, all that paperwork. The Corey stories will be done through the town too. So we toyed around with, okay, what do our numbers look like? What do the ratios look like? How could we pay everybody, buy the supplies, the paint markers, the paper, all the stuff, and do this at a cost. So we thought, would $15 work? And then we mapped it out with this many kids, with the ratio of this. Are we breaking even? We certainly don't want to be paying rec programs to run this program. We might want to do this for the schools. So we put on this $25, you think, is that right, Erin?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's important to know too that our rec departments in town, although, you pay taxes to rec, we don't have like a budget. Neither town has a big budget program. It's literally hundreds of dollars. So we can't support a program like this without charging some kind of money to pay the counselors and materials and whatnot.
Yep. So how do we get this information out? We both have websites. Eric has, and Berlin will have it pretty soon, within the next month probably. We have a software that's really great, really user-friendly. You sign up online, you pay online. We do it in Berlin through Link when they do the enrichment program, same idea. So I don't know if you do something similar with after school. Okay, not yet. But it'll be familiar, and it's great because then he uses it in his town, we use it in our town, Northbury uses it, and, everyone's using it, it's user-friendly locally, so which is really nice.
Wait, sorry to interrupt, is it the software that you use, like if you're signing up for a rec
Yeah,
program?
my rec.
My rec, yeah, oh yeah, everyone in Boylston knows that. Yeah, because like if you sign up for like the camps, you guys, yeah, it's so easy, all right, great.
And the nice thing about that is you're not in Berlin right now because we're a little old-fashioned still. But we're getting there. We're still dealing with checks and collecting payments and doing Google Forms, where this program is just, it's all done.
Oh, yeah,
It's all
so,
electronic.
yeah, then you can put a credit card in and pay for it, yeah.
So we do have 7 of these half days for the year. The idea is we do not want to have people signing up for all 7 at once because anything can happen, right? And we don't want to be issuing refunds. Actually, we're not issuing refunds. There's no refunds. If you sign up, just consider it, I don't know, we can't do refunds. The town's not gonna wanna be refunding people. Ugh, right, that'll be a logistical nightmare. So we said, how do we do this so we don't put people in this situation? What we'll do is we'll let people sign up for 2 months at a time. So the month before, we'll open it up, we'll do a pre-release, it's coming, kind of like 10 more days till Christmas, and then send that out, let families know we're going live on this date. They do this in other towns that are very busy. You release it, people sign up, and that's how we do it.
Can it not be at 9 a.m. on a Monday?
Well, that's fair, I agree,
Please.
I agree, it should agree. Yep,
Like
it
9
should be-
p.m.
Yep, I agree with you, that's a good point, Jess, it shouldn't be during working hours.
Can I just ask a couple of questions on that?
Yes,
so far, if that's
yes.
okay? So obviously you'll keep the principals informed of like who's attending, right? So that day is coming. So, and will there be a cutoff date for that as well too? So like by this day, if you're not signed up, like, so just where that information go to the principal so they know whose kids are going home and who's getting picked up as
Yes,
well.
that's great, thank you for that, I didn't say that, you want to speak about the cutoff date?
No, and we have to do that too, because we need to know how many counselors
Sure,
we need.
absolutely.
So it's gonna be earlier rather than later, the cutoff date.
And the only thing I would ask you to think about is we did this at Venturini, Cynthia and I had an before school and an after school. And it was hard to like come up with a fee, right? So we
Yeah,
ended
of
up
course.
charging people for the hour, right? So if you had the first hour, we came up with a figure, right?
Sure.
Because some people might only stay until 12:30, then some people stay till 1:30, some people stay till 3 o'clock. Just something that give you
Per
some.
hour.
Yeah, instead of just one flat fee, because some people might only stay that hour. And that might throw things off for you guys, might make it even harder. I'm just telling you what we've done.
All
in the
right, that's
past
a good
as well, too.
suggestion.
But, definitely have a cutoff date was helpful to us.
Okay.
Looks great. Nice job on this.
Yeah, and you can have a status in the dismissal app, I don't know if Berlin uses that same dismissal.
do.
Yeah, so that like the parent can actually, you'd have to say, not only do you have to sign up here, you've got to make sure you put your kid in that status.
Yeah.
So they can easily add that.
Yeah, that's what John's done in the past.
Yeah, for enrichment, you guys probably are due for enrichment. Yeah, we gotta do it like for Lego Club a long time ago, but we haven't had that for a long.
Yep, and then also, right, as we have, you guys, this is the first year doing this, right? And we want to support the schools with this. Because that's really important. We felt, our committees, our Parks and Rec department felt that it's very important to work together in partnership here. We don't know how many kids we're gonna get. That's the unfortunate part here.
And do you need a certain number to make it work?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say no.
Okay.
I would what do you think? A certain number to make it work, a minimum?
Well, we'll definitely have enough people. Cindy sent out a survey to all the
Yes.
parents who
Okay.
was interested, and we already got quite a few.
Excellent. Good.
Right.
I don't think that'll be.
And if we have, certainly, we can also do, we'll put it out to the workers, but if we have Berlin kids and we don't have enough, we can send some Berlin folks over to work in the Boylston at the BES program. All right, question.
Yeah, man.
Sure, go ahead, Mike.
I'm gonna write them down. It's not like
Did you
I'm
say
ignoring
something
you.
too?
I'm just gonna write
Okay, all right, Mike.
No, Julian, I mean, the document you put out there in the drive is really good. I like it, appreciate it. I hear your math on the half days and the number of calendar days and everything. It goes from three half days to 7 half days, 4 full days to 3 full days. It's still more than doubling the calendar days. So the only thing I would say, and it's not necessarily for the rec department, but for the committee, if you're gonna be charging, first of all, the lunch, you mentioned serving lunch, is that included in the fee or is that through the school lunch?
Well, it's free this year anyway, so that would be up to the child, but
But is it through the school lunch program or is it your
They would-
bringing
they would-
lunch?
they get it regardless.
Yeah, okay,
Because
so it's
every
through the
school child
All
does.
right. But if there's gonna be a fee for it, since we are creating this burden for parents, I would ask the committee to think about including this in the budget for next year. A cost or a line item to cover this, because we are creating this burden for parents, and it's $175 if someone goes all year, which to some people is nothing, but to other people is everything, so.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. So, right, because you always have to, if there is a hardship somewhere, and it's
Yeah.
for some family, right, we do have a plan for that.
Okay,
The Boylston
Education
Collaborative.
Yep.
Beck
Boylston
has
Education Collaborative.
agreed for Boylston residents that they will pay for any.
Scholarships.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, scholarships. And we'll certainly set something up in Berlin for that same thing, whether it's through Link or who knows how we'll do that. But in some capacity with Berlin, families will have that same opportunity afforded to them. I don't know, I'm curious with how the school committee would put it in their budget, because it's not a school sanctioned thing. Just like,
I would just ask that we consider it, since if we're gonna continue to do this. I was looking at the calendar too, there's a 2-week period in September where you actually have back-to-back school weeks of a full school week. And then you don't have another full back-to-back full school week until February, where you have one.
what?
And then it's not until May where you have another one. So every single week, there is a full half or holiday, school day, other than 2 periods. And there's no way, like, kids can't get into a routine, families can't get into a routine.
2 weeks.
It's just-
Full weeks. I see.
It's difficult.
There's single weeks that they have a full week, but there's
And
not 2 weeks.
there's no 10 days in a row of school.
I get what you're saying. Until March, probably.
It's hard to create a routine, especially for younger kids and, I don't know, older kids, maybe I'll find that out in a few years, but.
I don't know, I would defer to the building principals for that, I feel like.
I'm just asking the committee, if we're gonna create this burden, that's fine. But can we consider maybe covering the cost in some way? If we can't, we can't, but let's just bring it up.
John, did you want to say?
Just real quick, as you're thinking about that, if you use school district points where you make it a school-sponsored event, and then you're gonna run into special education costs and some other complications, such as, when you get to that discussion, let's think.
Actually, that's a good question. So learning some information through the para negotiations. What if a student that needs to attend this does need some sort of one-on-one attention that they would normally have during the school day?
And it's not a school sponsored.
How's that gonna be handled? So they're out of luck.
So
We
we
actually have one volunteer in Boylston that's already volunteered yet, so.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah. A concern would be, because we do have some students, right, who may be there during the school day and then accessing the after-school program, and we can't allow their disability to become a barrier to participate in this program.
I know, but I know, it's so tricky, and we certainly do not want to exclude anybody. However, that's a school, after-school activity is affiliated with the school, so there's different parameters with that, right, as you know?
Yeah, and
because also, we would not have any knowledge of anybody's plan, because that's a privacy issue that we would never have information about, right?
I think that I interpret it a little bit differently, and I think that, what qualifies as a school-sponsored event or a school-sponsored activity, there's a little bit of, it's kind of a gray area.
I agree.
And I feel like there's some features here that fall into what would be a school-sponsored activity and some that fall out. And I know that none of us want to exclude any of our students from being able to participate, and I know that that's not the interest of the room. So I think, we could probably just look at the list of students that are signing up and internally make arrangements, for those students. And I think we could probably be creative to make sure that everybody can participate, and that doesn't become a barrier. Because we do indeed have some students that, if we weren't able to provide them with appropriate support, it would be a barrier to them attending and participating.
Sure, all right, that's perfect.
Through Megan, to the chair.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you. I know we keep saying, well, it's not a school-sponsored event, but look who's discussing it right here. It is our whole school committee making decisions on this, right? So as much as we want to say it's not a school-sponsored event, it really is, because we're having these conversations in school committee. So I think we really need to be looking at those students that would need that. So I think the sooner we get this information out to parents and say, sign up if you want, the quicker we can look at staffing for that as well too. Because I really agree with you that I think this is underneath the perimeters, the way we're approaching this as a school-sponsored event.
Especially if like the PTOs are offering scholarships.
And we're using school funding to pay lunches, right? We're paying lunches through.
I know.
We're gonna feed them school lunches, right? We're gonna have the staff of the school lunches prepare those meals as well too. So it really is hard to
Well, we would have
separate.
that anyways with every child.
That happens on half days anyway.
Does everyone get a lunch on half days too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
If they want, some people.
But I agree, and I think you're right, nobody in this room.
No.
Of course not, but let's have a plan, and see the list, and then make arrangements
prepared.
for that, right?
Absolutely.
Good. It's a great idea that we
Thank
do.
you so much.
Yeah, Jess, sorry, I'm writing it down, Jess.
So I was curious if any thoughts on like a counselor in training kind of sign up? Because like some of the sixth graders would probably be very helpful with the younger kids, but not yet 14.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that out there.
They volunteer because they could.
Something.
Yeah, it's great idea.
Willing, I'd be willing.
And then it gives them something to do as well.
And they're
Be
outstanding, actually.
Maybe, I don't know, through the mail or something, I don't know. And then sibling discounts, so like the after school program, if you have this many kids which I know it's hard to support staffing, but I don't know.
Yep, that's fair,
Think
yep,
about-
we talked about that, It'd
probably be hard to, you still need this.
I wrote it down. All right, good, sibling discount, yep.
And then just kind of to go along with what Mike said for next year, all but one is a Wednesday. And so it might be nice to think about a little bit of variety. A 11:45 dismissal would mean I would have to take an entire day off. And I think that might be true for other individuals to get home to get a kid off the bus. So that's just a future discussion for next year.
Yeah, I think next year we need to see what happens this year with this program and the PD. And I think we had requested, if we did this for the calendar, we had requested Carol, we had said, we want you to show us how this is actually, I agree with Julie, the actual time spent on PD, you're getting 8 extra hours on PD. Is there actually an added benefit of this? So, just trying to figure out what the best, and maybe even looking at what other districts do. I know a lot of places kind of outsource their childcare and stuff like that. All right, so moving right along, did anyone have any more questions on that? We do not have to vote on that. That's not something the school committee would vote on because it's a rec program that the school's going to be offering. So did anyone have any other questions before we move on to the votes?
Could I just say one thing?
Oh, yeah, Laura.
I just want to thank you both for the effort, the amount of planning. This is great. This is really wonderful. Like, I know we're talking about like the nitty gritty, so it sounds like it's negative, but this is really such a wonderful thing, and it's community building, and I just think it's, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
the
we'll
amount
just
of
keep
time,
everyone in the
you
know.
guys,
Well,
seriously,
Yeah.
volunteers again. So thank you, both of you.
Hey, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, we're gonna take some votes. Tomorrow's the first day of school. We all wanna get home, get to bed at 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we have a request to move the Tohoto graduation back one weekend from, what is it? It's usually the second weekend in June.
No, it's always the first weekend in June.
Did we have it wrong on the calendar?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just, so it should be June 1st and not June 8th.
Yep, all right, so this is just to amend the calendar. All right, so this is just an error on the calendar. So could I please have a motion to change the date of the Tohoto Regional Middle High School graduation from
June
8th to Sunday, June 1st?
So moved.
Julie and Mike. All right, any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. That motion passes. Okay, I'm gonna skip the wellness policy because I know we have some discussion on that. So Nature's Classroom fundraising for both BES and BMS. So this is just, they want to get started early. That's great. So this is just to approve allowing Cindy and John, and whoever the groups are from their schools to get started on their fundraising now. So could I please have a motion to approve fundraising for Nature's Classroom at both Boylston Elementary School and Berlin Memorial School?
So moved.
Second. Jess, any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. That motion passes. Okay, so we have the Tohoto Regional Middle High School handbook out there. Did anyone have any questions? That was a first read way back in May or June. Lisa Mayer volunteered her time to work with Mrs. Sequeira on the formatting and cleaning it all up, and thank you for your time on that.
It's huge. It was such an amazing help. I so appreciate it. It really was great. It was wonderful. Thank you. It was a pleasure working with Lisa as well.
I'm happy to do the other ones that we talked about too.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, Lisa is great with the grammar and the formatting. Yeah, she's seriously, she's
It's an
awesome.
actual document, not scanned images. It's fantastic. Looking through it, it looked good.
What was that?
I said it was an actual document, not scanned images, so it was nice and easy to go through.
It was great.
Yeah, nicely done. Very nice. Yep.
Yeah, so thank
Nice
you on
work.
that.
Thanks, both.
Did anyone have any questions on the content of the handbook?
I do.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
We talked about this last time, but we're still allowing students to fail classes, yet continue to participate in extracurriculars. I see that still in there. I don't necessarily agree with that. I also noticed the section about the senior privileges. It specifically says in order to use your senior privileges, you cannot have any failing grades. So why seniors can't have failing grades, but athletes can, I think as a school, we should be promoting, not celebrating failure, but promoting, if a kid's gonna fail, do the work to help them get the passing grade before participating in extracurriculars. I don't agree with that personally.
So that, that part of the handbook is consistent with MIA policy, so we're just consistent with Massachusetts.
So that's like the minimum, right? But we talked Monday, we're good, but we want to be better.
Right.
I can't imagine a student's failing a class and instead of going to a teacher for extra help, hey, you better get on the field and practice. It just seems counter to what we're trying to do.
So, and I think that it's a good point. I think there are a couple things to consider and to think about, that we are looking at having, looking at those students who might be struggling in athletics and having them spend time after school prior to practice, and with a full-time athletic director, that can be coordinated much easier to do that as well. We don't have many students, because students who, fail courses often are not participating in sports. For the student who may be failing a course, maybe athletics is really the only thing that is getting them to school. And I would say that we were following the MIA rules. I would hate to not allow that opportunity for a student who may have a particular hurdle in a particular topic in school. They may be struggling in an area. I would hate for them not to be able to participate in athletics because of one hurdle.
And if that student was a senior, he couldn't have their senior, or she couldn't have their senior privileges, but they couldn't play sports. What are the senior privileges?
The senior privilege is to be, to sign out, like if they have a study hall at the end of the day, they can sign out.
Mhm.
Or if they have a study hall at the beginning of the day, they can sign in late. And so it depends on their schedule. Many of our seniors have full schedules and don't have and actually don't have study halls that allow them to access that privilege because they're taking rigorous course loads, AP course loads. So if they do happen to have a study hall at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, if they're passing all of their classes, they can sign out.
But a student who's failing a class doesn't necessarily need to worry about that. He can go to practice or the game. It just seems counterintuitive to what we're trying to do.
I have a comment.
That's
Lisa, what did you want to say? Oh, you know what, before we go into any more discussion, Laurie pointed something out. I should have made the motion first, and then we should do the discussion. All right, so, thank you, Laurie. So could I please have a motion to approve the Tohoto Regional Middle High School handbook?
So moved.
Second, Laurie and Julie. All right, now the discussion. Go ahead, Lisa.
I just wanted to say, I think that dichotomy makes sense because physical activity is really good for your brain. Like it helps your brain to work better. So going to practice might actually help them do better in their classes. But leaving early on a school day, they might just go home and, watch TV or play on their phone or whatever. But if they have to sit there in the class, they might actually take that time to study. So I think it actually makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, Jess.
Yeah, so there's really good research on exercise being as effective as some medications for ADHD. And so I think a lot of kids that might be struggling class-wise might have that diagnosis that they're dealing with. Exercise is also a great treatment for depression and anxiety as well, which could also lead to difficulty in classroom attendance or classwork. So I think it's allowing them to do the sports along with extra support academically helps the student in the end.
So I'm just noticing the parking rules, they're allowed one failing class as well. So I think what Mike's point is not that he's for or against it, but that the protocols don't match across. Because it looks like the parking, you can fail up to one class as well and still retain parking. It's the senior privileges. And I agree with you because exercise, I know a lot about depression, anxiety, exercise does help. But it's tough. It's really tough because if we're trying to make, if the education is the most important thing and that's what we're in charge of, it's something that might be worth looking at.
So I should back up. It's not just sports that this covers, it's just extracurricular activities. Usually we just think of that as sports, but it could be whatever extracurricular activity you have. I feel like if you're failing, go past the class before you start doing extra.
Me.
I mean, can you get up to a D?
Yeah, you can get a D.
Yeah, so,
You can't be failing.
right, so.
So through the chair,
Yes.
does this have to be approved for the first day of school?
Well, we never had one last
for
year.
2 years.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Because I think this is a a valuable conversation.
Right.
I think there is a little, like, we need to look at how that happens, right? I think, and again, I'm here to do the job this year, right? Probably not here to make friends, but I'd love to have this conversation with you, maybe using that athletic director. That's what we did in Hampton Wilbraham, right? So that now that's full-time. Again, not here to make friends, just here to do the job really well for you guys, but something that our athletic director did was held sort of like a study period before they went to practice, right?
Yeah, right, and that's, we've been talking about that.
So that's it was a really good thing. So the kids, even though they still could participate in the sport and they might have been failing, there was a period of time where they went to have a little bit of a study there, right? And a little bit of time to do some work or catch up. And then they went to their, and this is just something we did in Hampton Wilbraham. Not sure if we'll be successful there, but I think it's something that we certainly could have a conversation. And I'd like to have that conversation with you guys if you guys are okay with it.
So what we could do, so you actually have a chance to meet with Lisa and
I'd like to.
maybe make some changes that you could suggest. I mean, we could actually table this to September 10th. We're meeting again in 2 weeks.
Sure.
So if you
We might
want
come back
to
and
do
say
that.
it's good the way it is, right? But can we at least maybe.
But at least that way you have some oversight into this, because this was a conversation we had with Carol last year. And, you know, I don't know if the conversations were had or what happened,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do think that it makes sense. I see both sides of it, because I see you're failing, you might have some mental health issues. It might not just be that you actually can't do the work, and you're having trouble, maybe you don't have support at home, I don't know, maybe this is your outlet, so I get that.
And
But I
maybe
also
there's a middle ground maybe,
there's a
right?
middle
So they can
ground, yeah, I
help
also
out
get,
and
yeah,
get a
that
little
you have
support from.
to, yeah, teach kids to be held accountable, because the real world is gonna chew you up and spit you out if we don't teach that in high school. So I see it, but I think, yes, give us your
If you're-
input, that's what
We're
you're, so
okay
you
to
wanna do
have
that?
that conversation.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we are already having that conversation.
Good.
We are having that conversation with, some of the coaches already.
Great.
So, I mean, it's not as though that's, having that time, supported time after school before
Yeah.
the athletes go out. So we're already in conversation with that.
Yeah. And I apologize, I'm trying to catch up, so I'm
Oh, no,
sorry,
no,
there's a
no,
lot
no,
I just
like,
don't know, so
no.
I'm just asking questions to get information.
Absolutely. I'm very open to that conversation,
Good.
and we have really wonderful coaches who are
It's awesome.
who really talk, are really looking at the student athlete, and I've gone to them before to talk about, students' grades and ask them, and so it is a very collaborative
Great.
situation, so I absolutely can talk more on that.
Maybe it's something you add in the handbook, you must have a study session, if you are failing a class and you wanna do sports, you must attend a study session once a week, or whatever, with, or you must have after-school help. So yeah, I'll let you guys figure that detail. Is everyone on the committee okay with?
Yeah, I think getting the MIA, footnotes of the research that went into
Sure.
that particular rule, because clearly that was based on something.
Sure.
So I think that would also be
I
important.
think too, it's based on, you're looking at the whole state,
That's right.
right? So, sure.
Yeah, of
Here-
course.
Sure, our athletes are not failing.
And I just think it's a further conversation, and I apologize, I just think I'd like to be part of that conversation with you guys.
Yeah.
What do you think? Wait, you guys wanna?
Yeah, I think it's hard, opening year after year without handbooks.
I know, because people are gonna want it. But if we vote on it September 10th, they can send it out before the what's the open house, is the 12th?
I mean, there's just so much for
When's your open house?
to do in the next month.
So, I'm sorry, because there's also, so so we also we have a little file going for other things, because we've had this handbook, kind of hanging for 2 years. So we have a file going that we want to also look at adjusting some other things. We have some absence, some, things around
Other policies.
attendance, other policies that we want to address as well. So if we're going to hold off to do
So-
this,
so-
then I'm thinking, okay, so then we have a whole file that we can then, but we've spent so much time editing it and doing it. So I've been just like, okay, everybody, let's refile, let's put all the things that we're going to edit in this file.
Lisa, how long would it take you to add those things to this? Do you need months, 3 months, 6 months, 5 months?
So
Renee, yeah.
It's
Carol was going to ask that a subcommittee take a look at two of the attendance policies that just the language doesn't match.
Of the policies.
Of those policies, right? So that kind of subcommittee would need to happen first on attendance.
The policy subcommittee would have to take those policies.
To then make those policies match or delete one of those.
Right.
To then transfer into this handbook.
Is this something we could approve for the fall semester and then you work on that and then we come back? And
That's what I would
approve it for-
suggest.
Yeah, or just approve it for this year and then it's something for, or you mean just fall, fine,
semester.
That's for
all
the fall
right.
semester.
I approve for the fall
All right.
semester, that will give.
Is that something that would
Right.
work?
And if we could also ask the school committee the policy subcommittee to look at your two attendance policies, because there are two different policies and they don't match. So once they match, then we can then also look at our things that we want to do and add changes to that.
You said that to us tomorrow? And we'll start.
We can send those policy.
Yeah, send the attendance policies to Mike and Laurie.
Yeah.
All right, so the motion on the table is to approve the Tohoto Regional Middle High School handbook. It was seconded. We've discussed it. We need an amendment to this motion. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Lisa,
One
sorry.
more thing to mention.
Yeah.
So in the one on the drive, it's Nancy Kaniski's name is highlighted as the finance director. So that change would have to be made to the one that everybody.
That's
looked at.
perfect,
I just wanted to
because-
say that.
Yeah, that's perfect, because by after the fall semester, so like, we can we'll put this on the agenda, Lisa, Renee, for December.
Yeah, sure.
All right,
Can we amend the motion to say it will have the name? Are we voting on someone next?
no,
I don't-
we're not,
Okay,
no,
okay.
we're not gonna vote on him because he's
Okay.
just a part-time, he's
Okay.
not gonna actually be he's
Okay,
gonna come in
that-
almost
that
in a
changes.
consultant capacity, so that is not gonna have anything to do with school committee.
Okay.
So yeah, we're not gonna have a name probably for like a couple weeks, let's just say a month, right? So I think that's good, let's roll with it now, you could just leave it blank.
Right, well, and the one, see, I don't have access to the drive, so did you update interim superintendent?
No,
No,
so
so-
I have to do that.
Megan,
So,
can I make a motion?
yes.
Yeah, so the motion's on the
I would
table, it's
like-
been seconded, so you gotta amend my motion.
I would like to make a motion to amend the motion to edit the document, to remove Nancy's name, remove Carol's name, add Al's name, add TBD for finance director, and to amend the vote to, for this to be in place through the spring semester only, fall semester only. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that good?
All right, so there's an amendment on the table.
Yes.
All right, Julie seconded it. All right, any discussion on the amendment? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. All right, so that amendment passes. So then the original motion is gonna be approve the handbook with what we just approved.
As amended.
As amended. So I don't have to re-motion that, right? All right, so we're gonna take a vote on that unless there's discussion. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'm an aye as well. So you guys clear what you've got to do? You're just gonna change Nancy's, take Nancy out, put DPD, put Al's name in as interim. And this is good we'll vote on it in December. Awesome, great.
Nice job, guys.
All right. So thanks, Laurie, for bringing that up. I wanted to say, so Dan Beatty, we talked about, we have this man, Dan Beatty, who has a lot of experience as an interim finance director. He's only able to give us a limited amount of time because he's retired and he does not have a waiver. So he is gonna come in and give us some hours to help us. As TMS transitions out, their contract is up at the end of the month. He's gonna kind of get us over that hump. We do have an applicant, I think, who hopefully we'll be able to interview. We're hoping to reconvene the committee we had in place in the summer. Because we did have applicants, we did interview, we just didn't find the right fit for this role. We're really looking for the perfect fit. So I think we don't need to vote on Dan. He's just somebody that the superintendent is gonna hire as a consultant or he's not really gonna be the finance director. He's just gonna be kind of a consultant to help us.
And he's a retired director of finance for many, many years, and worked in regional school districts, so he'll be able to help us in that gap time as well. And like Megan said, that we're hoping to do interviews next week. I'm already talking with John, so there is a sitting director of finance that's applied right now that comes with a wealth of experience as well too. So we'd like to get him on board, but again, he's going to have to give some time to his job he's at now. So my goal is, what Megan and I talking, is that this Dan Didi will be able to give us that gap until the new person's on board.
Yeah, we can pay him hourly and Al can figure that out and get him on, whatever. But that'll be something that Al takes care of, a hire that the school committee doesn't need to approve that. All right, so last but not least, we have this wellness policy. All right, so can I please have a motion to approve the Berlin-Boylston school wellness policy?
So moved.
Laurie,
Second.
Lisa. All right, discussion on this wellness policy.
Megan, do you mind if Beth repeats her public comment? Because I think I agreed with her, but I forget.
Yeah,
the
Beth,
details.
do you have it written down?
I did, well, like committee notes.
Just give us, yeah,
The gist of it is.
yes. Thanks, Beth.
At Tohoto, they have the a la carte snack bar. Some of the kids use it to like supplement their lunch. A lot of the kids actually use it to pre-purchase their after-school snack for sports. If you put these parameters on, these pretty tight parameters that I had trouble trying to figure out what fit in and what didn't, and the calories were like 200. There's a lot of healthy things that these kids could and should be eating before they play a sport after school that would make more sense. And instead, they're gonna buy 3 bags of some 100-calorie whatever that fits the parameters.
Yeah.
I just think we should rethink whether, and before I even heard about this, I was hoping in the future we could start selling some kind of like an after-school snack box or something for these athletes. I volunteered in the cafeteria 2 years ago when they were short on staff to run the cash register one. And I cannot believe how many of these kids bought double meals with these boys, these 18-year-old men. This is not enough food for them.
Right.
And so they're supplementing by going to the snack bar, buying something to eat after school, still probably not great. In theory, they can bring something from home. It's the same group of kids that you watch walk in without coats. Like, they're not gonna do it. So it'd be nice to offer them something, and these calorie restrictions are gonna really limit their options. And you can only buy if you have money in your account. And your parent puts money in your account, your parent can see what you're buying. So if you don't want your kid participating, you don't put money in your account. So, that's
I think those are really great points. And the problem is that it's federal regulations. So we don't really have a choice for that at all, unfortunately. And the government tried to make it better, by having these requirements that will help reduce obesity and childhood diseases. But of course, there's always going to be, some kind of negative side
Then you look at
effects.
the school lunch, and there's always a way to work it to get, and then you have mozzarella sticks and marinara sauce at lunch.
Right.
But these kids can't buy a Clif Bar to take after school.
I agree. I do agree. Yeah.
I think I totally agree. We had talked about this in the spring, and we said how crazy it was too, like you can't even do fundraisers for this stuff. And yeah, we're like, oh, what's a healthy snack? Like, is a Pop-Tart a healthy snack? Right, like to your point, it's like those 100-calorie snack packs, like that are loaded with chemicals. You know what I mean? Are those, because they're only 100 calories, but they're like loaded with PhD and yeah, wheat thins, Pop-Tarts. Yeah, instead of like a Clif Bar or like my kids eat Z-Bar. So I totally agree with you that, yeah, that have like probably more calories because they have like whole foods in them. I agree.
So what happens if it doesn't get approved?
I think we were supposed to approve this, Sally, jump in here. Weren't we supposed to approve this like that last summer or last spring?
So we brought it in for a first read in the spring, and there was a couple of questions good questions people wanted some clarification on. So we took it back to our committee in June, and Lisa and I worked on it a little bit over the summer. One of the questions had to do with, are we allowed to put out fundraising posters around school if the items don't fit the Smart Snack? Sure enough, we consulted with the wellness coaches that we collaborated with, which we worked, that are from DESE. Yeah. And helped us write this whole policy using a special assessment tool to make sure we were including all the federal and state regulations. So that's why those items are all in there. It is true that we cannot, it's kind of funny rules, but, and again, this is federal and state, but you can put, if you're going to do a fundraiser that involves food, because they don't have to involve food, right? And that's something we're going to talk about in our presentations when we go around. Then if you're going to advertise something that does not contain smart snack items, you can't do that until 30 minutes after the school day is ended. You can put up signs then, they would have to be removed before the next day. Now, Rob Killen, who's our Director of Food Services, has agreed that he'd be happy to talk to any fundraising groups about what those smart snacks are, or how to work within the parameters so that you could still use some foods for fundraisers. But everything that we do have in there are, like I said, they are things that we are expected to have. So, so we did clarify that with some of our language in there, just to make it a little bit more clear.
I'm curious,
I'm sorry.
if the food containing magazines don't come out of the book bags until home and aren't mentioned in those fundraisers, like I'm just thinking like the PTO one that was done this last year, like, you know, the cookie dough and all that, like if that doesn't appear to the child until it gets home, would that?
No school property. Can't be on school property.
Until after 30 minutes after the school day.
And the school's distributing, and they're just trying to get the schools to stop promoting really unhealthy foods.
I mean, that's fine, it just feels like, honestly, to me, and this is like what I do, but this is, I mean,
It's not actually healthy.
this is like the food pyramid from however long ago,
Yeah.
just in a different format. Like flavored milk is okay, low fat. What? Why is flavored low fat milk a smart snack? When it's not. But anyways, so what happens if it doesn't get approved? If
Then
we have,
basically then, like, the policy that we have right now is out of compliance.
Yeah, we're opening ourselves up to lawsuits then probably.
And maybe
Federal
losing
and state.
funding because we get money.
Right, is
that
Yeah.
how this is? That's
Free
my
lunch
thought.
for everybody right
we
now.
need this policy to have the free,
Yeah,
And
I
you know,
mean,
and
that's the thing about this, and we,
Is that true?
yeah, I read that on the thing.
And we understand, you know, we as a committee agree that some of this feels very strict, you know, and this is, you know, but this is why we want to take this presentation we're working on, and I would have shared it with you now, but we would like to meet with the committee one more time in the fall to get their feedback and input before we finalize it. I'm certainly happy to share it with you later. But we got a lot of ideas from this conference that we went to where we were recognized as wellness champions, and I brought our banner in, it's over there if you'd like to see it.
Oh, I saw the banner in
It's on the
Carol's
table
office.
over there
Yeah,
behind
yeah, oh, yeah, she had it in her office.
But they gave us a lot of great ideas for how we can work with people, because they said, you know, people are going to be concerned, they're going to be like, how do we work around this? And we understand that. And again, certainly it's not even, and I don't mean this to make light of the policy, but we put it out there so that we can promote healthy well-being for our students and not to be punitive necessarily. If people are not following it, it's a matter of educating them. It's not a punitive thing, you know, but it needs to exist.
So
Using
speaking
it as
of
a tool for education.
Right.
Yeah, and inspiration, actually, of families, for everybody to just understand what's happening with the kids and their health and how we can do better. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Just when you put a policy in place with, you know, your snack has to be a quarter cup of whole grains with, you know, 30% good fats. I mean, how is that even measurable in the district? My thing would be, here we have this policy, and now what happens when we're not following the policy?
Well, and that's what we were talking about. Then, you know, that's a matter of us educating those people that are not, so that we can, you know, get things to be followed.
I mean, this is a
The CIA will
massive.
show up.
I mean, you know, like in the spring, we were walking through BMS and there was a popcorn party because they did something. And it was like they could read while eating popcorn, and, you know, like human beings are social creatures and it usually gathers around food. So
Right. I understand that.
So you can have popcorn, you can have popcorn, but you can only have 2 cups, I'm just on the.
No, it's not about the popcorn, it's about using
the
food as a
reward.
reward.
Oh, you aren't, and you're not able to bring in outside food.
It's not
during
about,
the
it's
day.
not about
Birthday
bringing in,
parties
but,
and all that stuff.
you're not allowed. So the BMS thing that Jess is talking about was a readathon, I think, and the group that read the most got a little popcorn party. So you wouldn't be able to do that anymore.
What about your ice cream social you had?
Yeah,
That school run by the
And it was outside of the building.
Not as inside, we were worried about the rain.
There are like some things in there too. Morning bus routes will be scheduled to allow students to arrive at school in time to eat breakfast. I mean,
What's NRT say about that?
I just think there's so
Well, they
many.
have that anyway, they can get breakfast no matter what when they get.
No, I get that,
Yeah.
but this is talking about morning bus routes will be scheduled to allow students to arrive at school in time to get breakfast.
Right. Well, the schedule that we set, right, which we have in place.
So just
Students
to
do have
reiterate,
time
just
for
to
that.
reiterate, because I remember this from the spring, because I remember we were all in class.
Yes, yeah.
Basically, you took the laws that were handed to you from Massachusetts and the federal government,
Yes.
and you put them into an easily readable document. It's not anything that you two generated and
Right.
said, hey, we wanted this is what we are required to do
Yes.
by law.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, like, I totally get what everybody's horror, but as
I agree.
we go through this on the policy committee all the time, we have to go through laws, and that's where, unfortunately, this is where we're at, and it does feel a lot like the food pyramid.
And also tutoring clubs, organizational meetings, not during lunch period, isn't that when clubs take place?
Unless they can eat.
Unless they can eat
Wow.
during, they have 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, it's just making sure they're not missing time eating.
I'm curious, like, so on page 4, in the 4th paragraph, it's talking about smart snacks and being, quote, sold to students. Let me just find it, sorry. Sorry, the PDF doesn't have the page number.
I know, I noticed
We're gonna
that.
add that.
Okay, sweet. So if you go in the other file, it has.
Oh, yeah, it says, when you scroll, it says the bottom,
Yeah.
page 4 and 14.
Sorry. Where is it?
I do like the kids' recess can't be taken for behavior. That's awesome.
So this doesn't apply to anything after school, so this won't apply to sports clubs, so the physical activity as a punishment, you can't make a kid run extra laps for dropping the ball.
Right.
Okay,
So,
so you still can do that, actually.
No, foods and beverages served or sold to students in before or after care, whether run by the school or an outside party, will meet A-list standards. So after school, they bring snacks, you're not gonna be, they have to be all on the smart
Yeah.
snacks. Like I know at BES, right, Mrs. McQueen used to go buy a bunch of snacks.
They still have for the beginning, sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, so they'll have to be on, in accordance with the smart snack guide.
And there's a way around that. I've talked to Rob from, the company.
Yeah.
Company, he could provide those so that they do fit into that. So that's something.
So that's perfect, that's great, that might actually alleviate some issue, and then that eliminates the whole expense reimbursement and all that, it's just coming right from the district. Yeah, I mean, I get it, trust me, but, at this point in time, Laurie, to your point, if this is the law, we need to be in compliance, because we need to, our job as school committee members too, we gotta make sure
So is
we're in
there,
compliance with all laws.
for this law, is there a deadline? Because I remember the last time there was federal regulations around school lunch, there was a lot of noise about it, and I haven't heard anything. Is there a deadline to implement this?
I mean, when we.
I know you want to have it in
Yeah.
as soon as you
Yeah,
can.
no, I
but
understand, and
is
that's a
there-
great,
If it's
that's a great
federal law
question,
or state
Michael.
law, is there a
Yeah.
deadline?
I mean, these laws are already in place. I mean,
Okay.
it's not like the coaches said, this needs to be done by a certain date, but this is what we're supposed to be doing.
So they're in place and we haven't had this, so what happens to us since we haven't been in compliance?
Well, luckily, nothing has happened so far, but, I don't,
Yeah, it's.
We don't wanna lose, we don't wanna lose free lunch.
We don't.
Through the chair, we're a little late too, but like we did this a couple of years ago, so this is not something that's just coming down. This is from a couple of years that this has been in place.
we worked on this past year.
Yes,
Yeah.
we were supposed to vote on this, I
Yeah.
think, and then so much of the budget. and
Right.
Yeah, we had
And we
multiple.
did have to clarify some questions for you.
Sure.
which,
Right, right.
And then summer happened, so, that's why we're coming back to it now.
All right. You guys-
Jess has a question.
Oh, go ahead, sorry, Jess, and then
yeah,
let's vote.
no, it's okay. So, it said smart snacks and nutrition standards apply to all food and beverages sold to students through district-sponsored fundraisers. I was curious, like, does that apply to like a concert in the evening?
If it's after 30 minutes after the school day is ended, it doesn't apply.
That's
Free
right.
for all. Pop-Tarts everywhere.
So, like, if there's a sports game here at night, the snack, I know, it sounds ridiculous, but that's the rule.
Oh, so you can still have your candy bar sales at
After 30 minutes?
basketball games, at like, when we come in here.
But as long as
I know
it's-
you don't, but I'm
but
just
as
saying. they
long
do.
as it's like the PTO or not,
Boosters.
the boosters outside.
Yeah, it can't be
too.
the school.
Because it's, the time of day matters.
And the purpose is to provide kids another option besides always putting food from, because that's, like you said, we're rewarded by food, right? A lot. That's how we are as society. So they're trying to say, here's another option during the school day, after school, you know, you can, you know.
And that's why we're putting that presentation together. We have a lot of good ideas for alternative ways to fundraise. And like I said, Rob Killam is very happy to consult with anybody who does want to involve food for any kind of fundraising so that we do it the right way. Like for instance, even, you know, like one of the rules is about not competing with our kitchen, for instance. But, you know, when we talked about it with Rob, Rob said, well, you know, then we can just make sure that certain fundraisers don't happen at the same time when we're offering food. Then it's not a competition, you know. So there are ways around some of these things. And that's what we're going to be highlighting in our presentation that we go around to. So we just have to finish that out.
To Lori's point, if this is based on regulation law, that's the minimum standard. Any policy that we do that's based on that is the minimum. We can always add additional protections, allocations, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to change, make change, I think this document even has a process for making changes, changing the committee, annual review.
Yeah.
So that's always an option.
There's a link in this document to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts from the Executive Office of Health and Human Services, and it basically talks about the competitive food and beverages in public schools. There's another website, Switch, and it says at the bottom, in most places, the state regulation and the federal rule are in alignment. However, where there is a difference, schools must follow the stricter rule.
Yeah.
So.
And it's sort of like being your taxes, right? So you submit your taxes and hope no, you don't get audited, right? But that's the same thing with this. You put this policy in place. If you don't put it in place and someone comes and checks on it, you don't know who that is or when it's going to be. But it's better to have it on record and vote that the school committee has said, we approve this.
All right. Are we ready? I know.
I just want to say it's not all bad. Like
I don't think it's all that bad.
Pretty negatively, but really the whole idea is to not create like food issues for kids, you know, not get them addicted to the sweet food, like at least not contribute to that happening.
I think it's exactly doing that when you're talking about 200 calories to a kid. I think it's exactly doing just that.
It's gonna do the opposite.
Absolutely. When
of
you're
what we
saying
intend.
your snack can only have 200 calories. Now we're talking only about calories to kids rather than, you know what, an avocado has 360 calories.
Believe me, that's where I would go if
So that's what I'm saying, like this is,
but
I don't know who wrote this, I imagine they're qualified nutritionists.
Well, it
Lobbyists,
came from the
I don't know.
regulations, like it came directly from there, so.
Yeah, but I would say with good intentions, sure, we're trying to bring good foods and all of that, but you know, a nutritionist told me one time with kids, you're sending a message of let's eat healthy, let's make a healthy choice. And while we think that we're sending a really positive message to a kid, they might view that as, do you think I need that because I'm too big? Or do you think I need that because we don't know? So nutritionists now are saying like with kids, you're
no good.
Right, so we're not telling kids, you know, we're just deciding what's gonna be offered, you know what I mean? And so.
yeah, but then there's the education piece, so what do you do if now the policy's not followed? Then we educate, and I would just, it's a very slippery slope, that's all I'm saying.
Well,
With kids and food, and
Yeah.
that they're not our kids, even though they are our kids all in the district, but you know, you can have those private conversations in your own homes. But when you open this up in a public school, I think that's, I would say shame on the federal government for putting this out.
I want to say that the education is for the administration and the staff who's making decisions about what to offer.
Yeah, but you have to also know peers. They are also going to very willingly give their input to their friends about that 200 calorie pack. Because that's what kids do. Because they're authorities on everything. They are, and I know it's with good intentions. I just wish it was rolled out a little bit more thoughtfully. And I know they have the hooks in you, right? Because there's
the free lunch.
There's the free lunch. So you have to approve this to keep the free lunch. And I don't know.
I wonder, can like the adjustment counselor or the therapist in the school have their input into how it's presented?
Actually,
That's a good idea.
the school adjustment counselor from Tohoto was on the committee, or is on the committee. And certainly, I understand your concerns, and I certainly can bring that back to the committee, and we can have conversations and keep our eyes out for things that change as the year goes by. I mean, that's why we're supposed to review it from time to time, because if research is coming out, maybe hopefully there'll be something that changes. It's not that I disagree with you, it's just, I'm just being very black and white about it as regulation, and I understand the frustration, I really do.
I appreciate the work.
And I just also want to say that you guys are all welcome to join the wellness committee. As much participation as we can have, really.
And
Parents,
and this year we are going to open it up and ask some kids to join with us.
Great.
And
Oh, that's great.
we'd like to get it to be a bigger group. We're definitely interested in that, so, yeah.
All right, let's vote. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Mike? Did everyone vote?
You asked who was in favor.
Oh, yeah, all right, any opposed?
I'm
Aye.
opposed.
All right, I'm an aye as well, so that motion passes. You don't have to join.
I know.
All right, could I please have a motion to adjourn? So our next meeting is September 10th, 2 weeks from now. Could I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'm an aye as well. Have a wonderful first day of
Thanks,
school,
guys. Good luck tomorrow,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you.